Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about soft jerk baits and more specifically how versatile these plastic baits are and how anglers are not using them for other techniques outside of a traditional soft jerk bait style manner. These truly are fish catching tools, and if you were to talk to a lot of anglers out there, they will tell you how good a soft jerk bait like this Power Jerk Shad by Berkley or the Zoom Fluke are. Most companies now produce some form of a soft jerk bait because of how productive they can be on the water. But most anglers don't recognize how many different techniques you can use these baits for. So I've got here my 5 favorite ways to fish a soft jerk bait that I hope might actually open up some of these techniques to you. And if you've got some of these sitting around, you can apply them to these other techniques versus just a standard soft jerk bait style. So we're going to get into that. Before I do, though, I want to remind you that I do a bunch of lake breakdowns through fishthemoment.com. If you're looking for a little bit of help on your local lakes, we provide you with a lot of background information, 40 waypoints specifically geared towards that time of year in areas that you can go and start fishing and hopefully then replicate in other parts of the lake to give you more success for the limited time that you have on the water. So check those out. Also, if you want to support the channel, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link, which I'll put in the video description for you. It's a great way to support the channel. Every little bit that I make from that comes right back into making content for you guys to hopefully help everybody catch a few more fish. So we're going to talk specifically about soft jerk baits. You know, one cool thing about a soft jerk bait is the fact that they're a straight-tailed bait. Some have a little split fork like that. Others are just a straight single tail, but they're made to glide through the water column. And because of that, they create a very lifelike presentation that generates a lot of strikes. Now, they're different from other swim baits and different style baits because of the fact that they were made to be fished weightless for the most part, to glide through the water column, to kind of mimic a lot of those bait fish that are out suspended over open water. One other nice thing about it, though, is you can rig these Texas style so that you can bring them through a lot of cover as well. So a lot of people will work these through heavy vegetation like pad fields or some grass that kind of is really thick to the point where it's hard to work any sort of other bait through it. And we find that that is a great way to generate strikes. You catch a lot of bass using them. But what we are finding nowadays is that the profile of this bait makes it very, very good on a lot of other techniques. So that's what we're going to get into. We're going to walk you through some of those other techniques. You know, the first one, obviously, like I just pointed out, is simply a straight Texas rigged weightless style to be fished through open water. Maybe if you've got some schooling fish, maybe if you've got some pads and you want to work a bait nice and easily through that, it's a great way to fish it. This is the Caffeine Shed by Strike King, one of my favorites. And this is one of my favorite setups for big northern smallmouth that are up cruising flats. This specific color right here, which is called Siren, is definitely one of the best at generating those strikes. But again, this is the basic format. We can get a little bit more in depth with it. You know, one thing that we've seen a lot of these straight tail baits starting to be used for is your vibrating jigs. Now, this is the Berkley Power Stinger that's on the back. Again, it's just a soft jerkbait profiled bait. And the reason these baits work so well on your vibrating jigs is because they don't create drag in the water. If you use a boot tail or you use something with big flapper motions, what that does is it creates drag on those baits. So you actually don't get the hunting motion that generates a lot of the great strikes that you get out of a vibrating jig. So most people out there will tell you you'll have better success with some form of a soft jerkbait style bait or a straight tail bait because it enhances the movement of your vibrating jig, which is what you need to generate reaction strikes. Another hot thing that we're starting to see, and Jacob Wheeler brought this to light, is the technique of basically coasting a bait through the water column, or a more powerful hover strolling technique, whatever it is that you want to call it. It's by taking a swim bait head and you take a big straight tail bait like this Hog Farmer Spunk Shad and swim it through the middle of the water column, drawing fish up from the bottom. It's a very, very productive pattern that is still very underutilized. It's still very new to a lot of us that don't know how to fish this technique or have just started to fish the technique. But what we're finding is how good it is. Maybe if you watch Fish the Moment, you saw Johnny Schultz go out and catch a giant bag on Grand Lake using this exact setup. Well, not this colored spunk shad, but a spunk shad with the core tackle tush swim bait head. Absolutely killer technique. And again, the key comes down to the straight tailed bait. That enhances the action of the bait. Every time you twitch the rod, the bait darts and glides much further. It's really the part of the technique that makes it so good. I mentioned hover strolling. You know, that's a technique that is near and dear to my heart right here. This little guy is the Kitech Shad Impact on a 3/64 ounce core tackle hover rig. This is the exact setup that my boys and I last night won the Wednesday nighter, catching both largemouth and smallmouth using this. And it's a straight-tailed, minnow style, soft jerkbait style bait that enhances your gliding action of a hover rig. That's what makes it so good. You get natural gliding and darting motion with very, very little movement out of your rod tip. So again, this is a newer technique that we're seeing your straight-tailed, kind of your soft jerkbait style baits truly dominate. And then the last one, which we do know some people are using, but again, I don't think they're using it quite nearly enough, is just on a standard drop shot. This is the Jackal Rhythm Wag, which is another one of my favorite style soft jerkbait style baits. Works absolutely phenomenally well as a drop shot bait, which all of these baits do. Whether you're fishing northern smallmouth or southern largemouth or spotted bass, what we're finding is a soft jerkbait style bait works great on a drop shot because every little bit of motion really allows these tails to create a lot of movement, a lot of natural movement, and therefore it generates strikes, especially on pressured water where a lot of people might be throwing bigger power moving baits. These small, natural, lifelike profiled baits are working. So every one of these baits I mentioned here are baits that you could pretty much interchange on all of these different techniques. But don't think that a soft jerk bait should only be used as a weightless jerk bait to come through the water column. You can really fish it in a lot of different styles, a lot of different manners. And honestly, a lot of them are relatively new to me because of the fact that I always viewed it as a soft jerk bait and not as versatile as it is until I really started doing a lot of the stuff with core tackle and experimenting with a lot of different baits. It really opened up my eyes to how good they are and how well they work on all of these techniques. So hopefully this helps you either use some baits that you bought that maybe you didn't like as a soft jerk bait, or it opens up to your eyes as to how you can apply these other baits with different techniques. I really do think that right now with today's pressured waters, these more natural, lifelike, moving and sized baits actually are producing much better than traditional power fishing techniques. So let me know in the comment section, do you agree? Do you disagree? What are some of your favorite soft jerkbait style baits that you can use on some of these presentations? I'd love to know from you so that I can try them. And I'm sure there's a bunch of viewers out there that would love to know what you're using as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, new video coming out tomorrow.